I'm from an equestrian family. I've been connected to horse riding ever since I can remember. My parents rode grandma breed's horses, so they were always everywhere. We're at the Golden Horse Stable, located near Warsaw. Horse riding, a sport done by millions of people all over the world. In order to do it in a safe way, you must learn to cooperate with a horse, build a relationship based on mutual trust. You have to be a sort of a horse whisperer. And this is what we'd like to tell you about today. Ever since I can remember, the playground wasn't the sandbox, but the stable. You'd go to the stable, collect nails, horseshoes. I played in the equestrian center in Stara Miłosna. That's where I was brought up. I spent the first 7 years of my life there. I took part in my first equestrian camp quite late as 13 years old. A camp focused strictly on sport. Before that, we sometimes mounted a horse in the stable, and that's it. But as far as choosing the sport and my first competitions, that was as late as 13 years old. 2 or 3 years later, there was the European Pony Trials, so it all happened quite fast. I was able to finish, but it was quite hard. Then the big horses and the strict sport training with my father. Competitions, jumps, wins, losses, and so it went on until the European Championships. I went to those championships 4 times. I won the Polish Championships twice and stood on the podium a couple of times, so my sport career was developing quite well. We don't know who mounted the very first horse for the very first time. The horse has been with us for thousands of years. Records confirming the strength of this relationship can be found in the oldest written sources. When a human did mount a horse, probably after just a short while, both the horse and the human found they liked this new situation. And probably shortly afterwards, the first competition took place. Horse riding is an expensive sport. Riding and improving your skills are expensive. Maintaining your own horse is also a big cost. This is not as elite and inaccessible a sport as 100 years ago, but for most horse riding enthusiasts, this is a serious expense. If we ride as full amateurs, we can learn the basics in a few weeks. If we want to take part in competitions, or we are buying our own horse, horses become your entire world and fill your life. You have to be in the stable often and care for the mutual relationship, one of the most unusual which exists between the various species on our planet. And as with all relationships, it's good when it's based on partnership. My adventure with horses began modestly. Nobody would expect that it would go so far and last this long. I'm sure my parents didn't expect this. The first time, I just went to the stable with a friend. I think this was out of boredom. She was going, so I thought, why not? I have some free time, I'll go see how it is. And the next day, I convinced my mum to let me have the first test ride. I immediately loved it. Then I started changing stables. I was learning something new non-stop. My sporting adventure with horses began at the moment when I started renting a pony. I decided to do it because of the pony's coat color, and that's when I began regarding riding more as a sport. I started training with Mr. Marek Wacławik. In the meantime, I was at a camp where I met Mr. Wojtek Piasecki. I always wanted to ride with Mr. Wojtek, but it was always too far away from me to commute. I wasn't at such a level yet. When buying the first horse, we decided to move to another stable so that I could train with Mr. Wojtek. From that moment, I have ridden in a more sport-focused way. I constantly develop now and feel this progress. Look at the way she's looking at us and wondering. But she's not afraid, so she probably trusts me enough, and she can stand here calmly and doesn't run away. Yet we're definitely at the early stage of building this relationship. This is my new horse. I'm trying to build this relationship slowly. I don't demand too much from her, for sure. I reward her a lot, and I think this is very important when working with horses, to reward them much more than punish. I wouldn't like to rest on my laurels and think that I've achieved it all, but rather develop constantly, do something all the time. Naturally, everybody who rides seriously thinks about the Olympic Games. I'd also like to have my own stable one day, but I wouldn't like horse riding to become just my job at any point. I'd like it to still be my passion, as it is now. I want to do this out of pure pleasure. Horse riding can be divided into several basic categories: dressage, show jumping, races and sport horseback tours. The most important Olympic event is eventing. This comprises dressage, a jumping competition, and a terrain trial. These are big, timid animals. We laugh that 9 out of 10 accidents happen when mounting, so you must be careful. Above all, the steps. We do not mount from the ground, of course, unless this is absolutely necessary. If we were in the field, if we fell down in the field, of course, then you have to manage. Here in the yard, we always use the steps. The equestrian shortens the reins so as to have full control over the horse. First, we put one leg into the stirrup, upwards, immediately the second leg. Then the body weight, balanced on 2 stirrups evenly, allows us to sit. We do not jump hastily onto the horse. These are all well-planned movements. The main rule is to pat the horse after mounting, say thank you that the animal even let us mount it. How nice of the horse. How do we communicate with the horse? There are 3 components of contact. Firstly, through using your legs, calf, thigh, which touch the horse. Secondly, the seat, our body weight, buttocks evenly on the saddle, plus the thighs which entwine the horse. The third element is the rein connected with the bit. A very sensitive spot, the horse's mouth. Above all, however, the body weight and the main rule that the outer rein leads. We do not turn as if on a bicycle. The right hand doesn't turn right. This is done by the left hand. So you have to learn in your early days of practice that this isn't logical. You just have to learn how these animals really work. We also communicate with the horse using our voice, which can calm the horse down or punish it. When we are working with a young horse, we use sounds silencing the animal or motivating it to move forward. At the beginning, we train without the rein. The equestrian learns how to sit in the saddle and maintain balance without using the reins. We'll try to present exactly how this looks in practice. During the first meeting, I would like the equestrian to feel safe on the horse, so that they don't have a feeling that the horse either scared or frightened them, and they will have such feelings for the rest of their life. Above all, we teach how to slow the horse down, how to influence it so that it moves. We never gallop during the first meeting. We rarely even trot during the first meeting. We try to get the equestrian familiar with the fact that they are a bit higher. With time and with a good coach, with good voice modulation, we are able to calm down, make the equestrian quieter, and make them feel more confident and safer on the horse. Learning how to stop the horse, tightening the stomach, tightening the back, closing the legs, stopping, without using your hand. That's right. Let's close the calves. The horse is trained to react to the legs. The calf is an activating aid. It stimulates the horse to move forward. We don't kick the horse, we squeeze with our legs. We close the calves, as we say. This influences the horse as if we were accelerating in a car. With a little time, we have such a connection with the horse, such concentration and intuition, that we believe that we'll simply think about something and the horse will do it. The next element after the walk, when the equestrian feels safe in the saddle, is a two-cycle trot. We'll present the posting trot first. We distinguish two types of sitting on a horse during a trot. Firstly, posting. This means raising your thighs rhythmically upwards, as we can see here. The hand is still calm, independent, connected with the mouth. It doesn't try to balance. If I ask the equestrian now to throw away the reins, the hands are in the same position as just a moment ago. This is what the first training looks like. We'll try to go for a walk. That's right. This is proof that we are doing it without using the hand, so we communicate through tightening the muscles and our body weight. We grab the reins, pat. You're brave, darling, that's right. Let's continue. We get back to the trot, the posting trot. We say that we are exhausting a horse in the posting trot, but we are riding and teaching them in sitting trot. And this is the seat which all young novices find very scary, because at the beginning we are thrown around left and right, up and down, and with time, in full concentration, we see that the sitting trot is actually enjoyable. Now we'll present the gallop. Very even posture, in balance. As we can see, the equestrian is still sitting very calmly. They're composed. The gallop is one of the most difficult movements for the novice to master. It's difficult to grasp this at the beginning, but as we can see, with time this isn't any problem for us. The first official jumping tournament took place in the year 1864 in Dublin. The first tournament in Poland took place 16 years later in Warsaw. This discipline became part of the Olympic Games as early as the year 1900. It's about riding through a predetermined parcours in accordance with a sequence of obstacles in as short a time as possible. The most frequent obstacles are the straight rails, the oxer, the triple bar, the wall, and the water jump. After a lunge line, riding through a flat, or as we say, a tetragon, when we are able to turn and stop, we can go to the jumping part. We always start from the bars. Above all, we learn a position which we don't use in dressage. It's called the half seat. Girls, half seat, please. Try not to post in half seat. A half seat is a half seat. Chin upwards. We are looking in front of us. That's right, soft and elastic. Elbows closer to the body. Close to the body, a bit more actively. Elbows closer to the body, the thumbs upwards. Then we learn the half seat in a gallop, because our target is to jump over obstacles from a gallop. All right, girls, from a slow gallop, the bars from the right leg. Look how it worked. This is a good pace. Gallop, gallop. Correct your leg and hop, hop, hop. He's making fun of you. How can you jump when he's not listening to you? Calf. I can set the obstacle after such a good ride. That's enough. How do I inform the horse that it should jump? First of all, I have to show it the obstacle suitably earlier. I make it accustomed to the fact that what's in front of it should be jumped over. It's been trained ever since it was little, from the very beginning. If I have doubts whether or not the horse will jump, I lower the obstacle. What should we do to handle the obstacle correctly? First of all, you need to be focused. You have to be aware of your own body and aware of your horse's body. You can't be distracted. You can't think about losing, about your kids' loans, your horse's health. When we are scared that we'll hurt it, we stop thinking rationally. The ability to relax in a stressful emotional situation. If we get accustomed to the amount of adrenaline which is inside us during jumping, and we are able to use it, be able to focus better thanks to it, we won't be paralyzed by it. Of course, tournaments have a life of their own. Tournaments are about the result, so this is an additional stress-causing factor. We can be the world champion at home, but even despite that, we have to cope with stress during tournaments. I didn't picture myself as a coach. The Olympics, sitting on a horse, was always my goal. However, how we influence kids' development and the way they see the world, this has made me realize that in this I have found great pleasure. Mr. Wojtek showed me what it really means to be an equestrian. He chose a horse for me, and that it will start at tournaments, everyday training, sacrifices, but a great adventure as well. I never was a person who stressed much. But that changed when I rode to my tetragons and saw that when you want to get the best results possible, this stress is there, and the horses feel it, which also influences the result. But this motivates me even more. The amount of emotions makes us act like a family. We go through wins and losses together, and how they change is also the greatest pleasure in all of this. They're braver and braver, courageous. They overcome their weaknesses because this is the most important thing. There were many of these falls. I even had quite a nasty fall recently. I fell down together with the horse. This happens, but it depends on your attitude. I always thought I'll try not to repeat this mistake. I mount, move forward, and I don't look back. Horses are really very intelligent. They recognize their equestrian, and they can either like the person or quite the contrary. When the horse trusts the equestrian, then both the training and the cooperation is much easier. It gives me such self-confidence, a dose of adrenaline, and a feeling that I am together with this horse. When I'm mounted, we are sort of a unity, and we can achieve some amazing results together. It's not individuals at work, but a cooperation between a human and an animal. We are slightly different than the people spending their time in front of a computer or laptop, not seeing anything but the screen. Having the skills of controlling a half-a-ton animal, which follows our instructions and has fun at the same time, this is what's most important. I hope to participate in the European Championships in June, in the Youth Championships in France, and to get a good result in Poland. Maybe I'll take part in the first runs in the young equestrian category. This equestrian's dream is, of course, the Olympics, just like everybody else's. But to be realistic, I'd like to be in the first 15 of the European Championships, because it's really something you can boast about. I once had a dream to take part in the Olympics. It's changed a bit since then. I'd like one of my pupils to take part in the Olympics. I think it's equally satisfying. The most important thing is being calm, relaxed and patient. Patience and humbleness is something which the equestrians need to learn. Without this, you won't achieve anything in this sport. Horses are animals. We have to forgive a lot of what they do. We also have to forgive ourselves for the errors we've made. Sometimes that isn't easy, but it's worth it. The most beautiful thing is freedom and liberty. Nobody tells me to work. I do what I love. There is no stress, no pressure. If I didn't want to do it, I could quit any day. I can't imagine that I could be doing anything else, though.